Well, that is the sweet sound of music, if you can ever guess what it is. There are dhols being played, there is enjoyment in the air. India have won by 56 runs against the Netherlands.
That ensures that their net run rate will stay
And they're at the top now with 4 points. South Africa have got 3 points. But South Africa have a plus 5.2 net run rate. India might potentially get to plus 2 point something if that, or 1.5 to 2 in that range, depending what the equation is. But India did not bowl the Netherlands out, and that might be a slight cause of concern.
And the fact that I think 3 boundaries came up the final over.
Final over bowled by Arshdeep maybe might not hurt them in the long run that much, because look,
True.
Bangladesh's loss today has meant that there are 3 clear-cut winners from this group. Okay, India, South Africa, Pakistan.
And South Africa must be absolutely bemoaning their bad luck that rain deprived them of that extra point.
Exactly. That rain interruption in Hobart, if it turns out to be like what Pakistan achieved in 1992, well then hail and glory to South Africa then. But India were always in the hunt. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, 2 maidens, and he set the game up beautifully with his brilliant knock. His brilliant spell of bowling. So Bhuvaneshwar, Arshdeep, Shami and Akshar Patel, and finally Ravichandran Ashwin breaks his drought. All took 2 wickets apiece. Mohammad Shami with 1 for 27. Arshdeep slightly expensive towards the end.
That last over when 3-4 boundaries.
3 boundaries, and so 2 for 37. Bhuvi, 3 overs, 2 maidens, 9 for 2. When was the last time a bowler bowled 2 maidens in a T20 match? I have to figure that out. I haven't checked that out yet. But yeah, it sums up the fact that, okay, the highest scorer in that entire Netherlands team was 20 by Tim Pringle.
Right.
And he had plenty to atone for, because for the catch that he dropped of Rohit Sharma.
Yeah.
So Netherlands ended up on 123 for 9 with a 56 run loss, and their second loss in this T20 World Cup means they will only be relegated to the spoilers. I mean, they can spoil one or two nations.
Someone else's party. Yeah.
Yep. So India are on top with 4 points. We are just awaiting what is the net run rate situation that is there. And South Africa today registered an emphatic 104 run win against Bangladesh. And because of that, they remain in second position. Oh, India are now with 1.425.
As far as net run rate goes.
Yes. Plus 1.425, and South Africa are plus 5.2. Bangladesh are minus 2.375. And the remaining games don't get any easier at this point. So now, Netherlands done and dusted. We all knew we were looking at some positives.
Right.
Rohit Sharma's form, it's there, not thereabouts. KL Rahul, I think it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's why I disagree with what Lavrami says. This against minnows, everyone can perform. KL Rahul would like to have a word with you.
Yep. And again, look, when India were losing to Kenya and Bangladesh in the early part, would you have considered them minnows, Lavrami? I mean, let us give every team their respect that it wants. Because look, every team wants to compete. They don't want to lose. So, if India were losing to Kenya and Bangladesh in the 90s and the 2000s, would you call India minnows?
Correct.
No. So when the boot is on the other foot, it really makes it for a very different situation altogether. KL Rahul didn't score today. Yes, got out to a very poor stroke. In swinger troubling him yet again. Didn't review. So when everything goes against you, it goes against you.
Correct.
There is no two ways about it. So KL Rahul is really facing the heat now, because he's had 2 failures in this T20 World Cup. The one game that he will definitely be hoping that he succeeds is against South Africa, which is the next game on 30th of October. And well, Kohli is having a chat with Roelof van der Merwe and one of the backroom assistants of the Netherlands team. So that is about it from the Sydney Cricket Ground. This is the only game that India plays at this venue. If they reach the semi-final, they'll play one of the games here. Tim Pringle, why did he have to drop that catch? So, are Netherlands better than India?
No.
Look, they aren't better than India, Lavrami. Let me just make that very, very clear. I'm only stating that Minnows is a very elitist way of looking at things. I mean, every team wants to come here and compete, and they've already gone through hell in the qualifiers. I mean, Netherlands didn't make it to the easy way.
Yeah.
They only came through to the Super 12s
Yeah.
because Namibia had a big choke against UAE. Had Namibia won, we would have been facing Namibia today.
Correct.
Or no, in fact, we would have been facing Sri Lanka in this group. Remember, India, Sri Lanka, October 27 is actually going to be at this venue. But because they lost, Namibia lost, Sri Lanka went to the other group. Raj Dasgupta is saying Tim Pringle carbon copy of Ashwin.
How so?
How so? Fielding.
Yeah, in fact, Harsh Khatri makes an interesting point saying that, look, Rohit didn't always look convincing. He might have got a 50 odd, but far from it. Yeah, actually, towards the initial stage of his innings, especially lacked some fluency, got a major reprieve thanks to the aforementioned Pringle.
Tim Pringle, yep.
So, yeah, I think in that sense also, but also you have to remember, pitch I don't think was too easy to bat on. It wasn't.
The wicket changed after the South Africa versus Bangladesh game. I think it became much more sluggish. I think stroke making became a lot more difficult as the day went on. So that is one thing that you'll look at it. Maybe the second game on these kind of pitches, it does tend to be dead.
Absolutely.
So anybody, if for example, India don't play, I think, back-to-back in venues, if I am not mistaken. I think Adelaide, I think no one's playing earlier. I think they're playing in a different venue. So Amit Khajuria is saying big thumbs down for wicket keeping of DK. From the day he's back, he's not that prime wicket keeper. DK, many instances of mis-stumping.
True, I think, and see, that's the thing with father time catching up, it's going to be brutal on you. And in fact, were it not for Pant's very poor form with the bat,
Yep.
Pant would have actually been ahead of him in terms of just the wicket keeping side of things.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Pant's batting, in fact,
Yep.
it just ruled him out completely because the team realized
Correct.
you cannot be carrying an out of form wicketkeeper bat
Yep.
in your team as the first choice,
Yeah.
regardless of whether or not he's a left hand option.
Yeah.
Raj Dasgupta says, tell us about the Optus pitch and stadium. Just scrolling
And
up.
again, Raj Dasgupta, tomorrow you will have a full ground reality of the Optus Stadium in Perth. I have been doing a special series on the venues, the average scores, teams batting first or second, who has the advantage. The only thing I can reveal is that for the first time, India will be playing a T20I at the Optus Stadium in Perth.
Yeah, and as for, pitch, to be fair, if I'm not wrong, it's a
Again,
drop
I
in.
will...
It's a drop in.
No, it's not a drop in.
Oh, Optus doesn't have a drop in.
I'll have to check that out, but I think it is not a drop in. So Roy SP with a super chat is like saying some predictions. We will witness the completely Irish player this IPL. Second Dutch potentially could be Tim after Tendo. Riley comes back to the league.
Riley is a good shout.
Yeah. Get him into the Mumbai Indians team because he would be a good fit there. And yeah, if I have to look at Irish players,
I think Tector is one who's always caught.
Tector is always there. Sterling could have had the chance, but I think age
is not
in his favor. Then Delaney often impresses, Gareth Delaney. So, and about the Netherlands, well, if you want that X factor, you may have Max Odoud. Then you may have Bas de Leed, but none of them performed well, unfortunately, in this. Yeah, Optus is dropping. Yeah, Harsh Khatri, you're
That's
right.
what I was saying. I think
Waka was not a drop-in.
So
Waka Perth was not a drop-in. Yeah, because, oh yes, at the Optus you do play the AFL, you do play the other things, so it has to be a drop-in, yes. Only Sydney isn't. Yeah, all the other stadiums are... Gabba is not, Harsh. Gabba is not a drop-in. Josh Little, Josh Little with his left arm pace, you would want good practice.
Sandeep Raj says, what should be the team for South Africa's Perth Health Spacers? Again, you're thinking of the Waka and you're thinking of Test cricket. Again, if you watched any of the recent matches at the Optus, it's a nice, wonderful wicket to bat on.
But again, the bowling in both the games, if you have to look at it, Australia, Sri Lanka and England, Afghanistan, actually was not easy. They managed only 150, England, Afghanistan managed only 120-ish in that.
Correct.
England, Sri Lanka, Australia, Sri Lanka's got it 150-ish. So batting is not that easy at the Optus. So we'll have to look at this game though, Pakistan Zimbabwe, as to whether the pitch would have changed or anything. We have to look at that in that sense, because remember, you'll be playing on 6 different strips for different games. So whether this pitch is a belter, it remains to be seen. But the average score at the Optus has been somewhat about 150, 160. It's not been that high. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Okay, thoughts about Ashwin?
I
He
mean,
bowled well and good to get a few wickets, should give him confidence.
see, I think the way things are now, the team has made a decision that we are okay having an economical spinner rather than a wicket taker. So in that sense, I think, he's going to be in the team. Unless something major happens, I don't think he's getting dropped, no?
Yep. But Rajiv Jha, West Indies versus Australia series, none was held at Optus. England was held at Optus.
Yeah, England,
Australia, yeah. They played at the Carrara Oval and they played at the Gabba.
And also
West Indies, Australia.
And also remember the match was held in Optus was that match where Joss Butler went crazy.
They went crazy. 208 they made in that match, and that was a flat deck.
Exactly.
At the Optus. So Rajiv Jha, I think West Indies, Australia, I think I'm missing it. England versus Australia. Yes, that time that pitch was flat, honestly. But yes, the England-Afghanistan game had plenty of spice in that wicket. Movement, bounce. So, yep. So, Zimbabwe in that triple header, the final match of the day, which is today, the triple header, Zimbabwe versus Pakistan. Zimbabwe have chosen to
bat after winning the toss. Very interesting.
17 T20Is. Pakistan have won 16. Zimbabwe have won only once.
Yes, in fact, as Pelluri Tribhuvan points out, that yes, they had posted above 200. I remember that match was the one where I think UZ, DK, Harshal, etc. had actually gone to this thing.
Yes.
They had posted some selfies.
Yep.
This was during their preparation.
Yes. They had gone to the Optus to see that. And it's a pretty, I think 85 meters is the square boundary and 80. So all that you'll come in the ground realities episode, which I'll do tomorrow or day after. So
now on to something that I would love to discuss.
KL
Ankit Kumar is calling KL Rahul a Parchi player. I won't read further than that because it's some very naughty comments.
Yes.
But, I mean, should India really be worried now? I mean, look, I can understand Pakistan. This was the kind of match that was just there for the taking.
See, KL Rahul shook his head. He was very disappointed that he could not capitalize on it. But then in a World Cup, how important is it to chop and change if that player is not performing?
See, that's the thing. It's a catch-22 situation.
Yes.
On one hand, you want to say that, look, we have to back our players, and that's a fair enough stance. But I mean, see, if you didn't have, if this was a tougher group and it was a repeat of 2021 and you ended up losing both your opening games instead of winning them, then suddenly there'd be even more heat.
But India are luckily not in a tougher group.
Exactly.
See, I would just say, if KL Rahul flops against South Africa, let's just assume the worst case scenario. KL Rahul flops, I will still say you play him. Because your other backup, if you want to look at it, if you want to say Rishabh Pant as an opener, even that is also not a very, an ideal situation.
For sure. It's a risky option for sure.
It's a risky option.
Unless you want to say, okay, look, KL is not working out there, so we'll bring in Pant, but we won't use Pant as an opener. We'll use him as a number 4. We'll push Surya up to 3 and Virat to open.
Virat to open. I would just say make Pant open.
No, I agree.
Right-left hand combination, okay. Right-left hand combination. Virat keeps it to number 3. You've got 2 left-handers then. You've got Akshar. You've got Pant. Now, Prasad Kulkarni, can Ashwin open instead of KL? Actually, I've got a very different take on this. Are you confident that Ravichandran Ashwin is a batter who can accelerate in the first 6 overs? If you think that it is yes, maybe you can. But putting Ashwin up, opening the batting is very, very outlandish. I'll just
even by
he's a capable bat, no problem, very solid bat. But opening is very, very outlandish here.
I think Pradeep Srivalsan's take is the best in this, and I would have to wholeheartedly agree with it. He said that, do we have an option? Pant is out of form. If South Africa can play Bavuma, we should give KL more chances. I am disappointed, but if he doesn't perform for the next 2 games, which would be South Africa and who's after that?
We will play Bangladesh.
Then maybe drop him for the semis, which is fair because you have that buffer, that luxury of not really being in too tough a
But then
group.
getting a new opener just during the semi-final and final.
No.
Very risky.
No, if he doesn't perform for the next 2 games, so the next 2 games would be South Africa and Bangladesh, and after that you'd have
Zimbabwe.
1 game against Zimbabwe. I think if you want to bring in a Pant, no better opposition than a Zimbabwe.
Yeah, but then again, we are underestimating Zimbabwe.
No, I'm not underestimating Zimbabwe. I'm not. But the simple fact is that even today, Netherlands, we know for a fact they're one of the stronger associate nations, but playing a full member nation is always a different chase. And again, if Pant doesn't fire, is it any different from what is happening right now? Anyway, we're still winning.
Yes, still winning.
I think it's worth a risk in that sort of a game.
You shouldn't break anything that is fixed.
But the KL thing isn't fixed. That's the problem.
I would say play him. Even if India reaches semi-final, play him. Because if you insert somebody in the opening position that early, and that too in such a pressure game, I think you're not benefiting the team or you're not benefiting the player.
No, Zimbabwe is not the pressure game.
No, he's saying maybe drop him for the semis.
I get that. See, that is a problem.
So that is a problem. I would say you persist with him and then you take a call after the T20 World Cup whether KL fits into your scheme of things or not.
But I think he fits into the scheme of things. I just also think he's a little out of touch and out of form. That has been a problem. He hasn't been match fit for a while. He only came back into some degree of match fitness during, ironically, the Zimbabwe tour, which was an ODI series.
144, which he made.
Exactly. Yes. So I think even there, he's not played much. Like again, if you're comparing the openers, Rohit before this match had played 24 matches. KL by contrast had played 11.
Yep.
And if you're coming back from a long injury layoff, you will be rusty. So in that sense, I understand all of the reasons. But again, if this were a tougher group, I think this question would be looked at far more.
See, most of the teams are not making that much of changes. I'll be very, very honest with you.
Because it really isn't the time unless it's a break glass in case of emergency situation.
See, India have not reached that emergency situation
yet.
However, they may reach that emergency situation, suppose if they lose to South Africa and then they do not do well against Bangladesh. Because you don't know which Bangladesh will turn up. And I know, and I don't think, no disrespect to Bangladesh, but your current form doesn't seem to suggest that you are going to make a comeback. Your slide is terminal. And it is very, very detrimental to their confidence going ahead. Because look, Bangladesh will now face another minnow, if you may want to call it. Then you'll have to take on, you've already been blasted by South Africa. You'll then take on Pakistan. That is an even tougher proposition. Today you're facing Zimbabwe. Bangladesh, on the other hand, beat Netherlands but by 9 runs.
It was a very narrow win.
Which isn't helping their confidence one bit. So, KL will be firing and the team will look complete. Absolutely. It looks complete if KL is in form totally. And
because again, Rohit has, he got a half century today. Whatever you want to say, he looks scratchy. True, runs are runs. Kohli has gotten 2 half centuries. Surya did well in this game. So, I don't think the top order is that much of an issue.
Yeah. Roy SP once again. Raza from Zim post Taibu and Taylor. Sterling in the league. Harshal at Perth would be good. Varun released and going to CSK prediction.
Which Varun? Chakravarti. Well, I don't think KKR will release him.
Chakravarti back to CSK.
Back? When did he ever play for them?
I mean, he was picked in 2018. Then he went to KKR.
Wrong. He was picked by Kings 11.
Yes. 8.4 crores, I guess.
Yeah, he was picked for 8.4 crores, had one very expensive game, and that's it. Was put back into the auction pool. Classic Kings 11.
Yeah, Raza could be one of your good picks if you want in T20 leagues.
And Sterling, I think we were discussing, but I think Sterling, the problem is not very young. And again, age doesn't matter if you're a Chris Gayle, but Paul Sterling doesn't quite have the same gravitas. Harshal at Perth could be good. Again, I don't see any reason to tinker. I think you're fine with the team or combination.
And imagine with the wind blowing across at the Opta, although there'll be not much of wind because it's a big stadium and you've blocked the Fremantle Doctor anyways. You can actually get in a left armour just to ensure that the skid factor is there. Primarily for skidding the ball through on this deck, you can use a left armour. And Ashwin, on the other hand, look, you're not going to drop him. Basically, based on what happened in the game against Pakistan.
No.
Yeah, he still got fielding issues, but that happens with most of the teams.
But then that's a trade-off you're making if you are playing Ashwin.
Yep.
Age is not exactly on his side, and even in his prime, he wasn't exactly
setting the stage on fire.
He wasn't exactly going to win awards for agility.
Yep, he wasn't. So, well, King Kohli is on the cusp of yet another record. If he makes another 28 runs, he becomes the leading run getter in T20 World Cups, goes past the great Denagamage Prabodh Mahela de Silva Jayawardene or Mahela Jayawardene. If Pant open instead of Rahul,
then he will keep in place of DK Smith. Yes, that's a valid point. True. But again, I don't want to be making that,
Yeah.
Peluri also makes a good point where he says that the scheduling of India matches in this World Cup is good every 3-4 days between each game, unlike a week gap the last time around between Pakistan and New Zealand. That was very baffling in terms of scheduling.
Yeah.
1 week?
1 week.
I mean, even if
was it a week?
Yeah, it was. And I mean, what even if you won, suppose say for instance you're Pakistan and you were put in that situation where you won your opening game, you're raising to go, and you're sitting on the sidelines for a week?
Man, it was a week.
Yeah, it was very long.
Oh man, I mean, Pelluri, agree. This World Cup, the scheduling also makes sense, and also makes sense because India are not playing at the same venue. They're playing in different venues, except Melbourne.
Last time around, I think they were limited in terms of the venues also because...
Yeah, only Dubai, I guess. Or they play in Abu Dhabi.
Maybe, I don't remember. If any one of us can get here.
Yeah, if IPL gets back to normal, Varun at Eden won't be great. They already have Sunil. Chennai spin tracks on a suit him as KKR would want green.
Cameron Green, he is saying.
Well,
I mean, if as a fellow KKR fan here, Roy, I would love if KKR made the same switch that I think the Australian team should be making. Bring in Cameron Green for Aaron Finch.
Yes.
He's also part
anyway, Finch, will not be part of the KKR side, right?
No, but he was brought in as a replacement for Hales. Yeah, so unless, if Hales is unavailable, then they might just stick with him.
Or no, I mean, get both Hales and Finch into the auction pool, get in Green. And
I would like that. If Green is available, I would like Green. Good all-round option as well.
Yeah, Raj Dasgupta India tour of Bangladesh ODI in Dhaka will be interesting, yes. Because look, that series for the first time since 2015, India are playing a full format tour there. They'll play ODIs, they'll play T20s, they'll play 2 tests, which are, by the way, part of the ICC World Test Championship cycle. So those are the last 2 tests in India's overseas cycle. Then they play 4 tests against Australia. I think by the time we will not know whether India are in the final or not, because look, Australia play a very important series against South Africa.
Correct.
That is your potential preview to the final of the World Test Championship. And looking at South Africa now, I think there's plenty riding on them, provided Themba Bavuma steps up. Bavuma has had a single-digit score every time ever since since October. Every T20 that he's played, it's been single digits. So Pant scored 18 runs of 19 balls World Cup warm-up.
I remember that.
And this can be UV's knock in 2014 World Cup. UV, I think, struggled in that final.
Right here, that way.
In that sense. So it is a very, very odd situation if you have to look at it. I think India shouldn't tinker much heading into Optus. Just go and play with the best 11 that is firing at this point in time, barring injuries. Only then make a change, otherwise don't make any kind of changes. Bangladesh ODI rank is high. Of course it is high. But then look, India, when it comes to contests against Bangladesh, they have
a fairly one-sided.
They have recovered from 2007. They have also recovered from 2015 when they beat them in that ODI series 2-1.
Correct.
But India now don't take any opponent lightly. That is the best way I can sum up about it. So it is a very, very tough situation right now in Group 1. Group 2 looks sorted with India on 4 points, South Africa on 3, and the rest don't have many. Pakistan could join that list today if they beat Zimbabwe. Then
to be fair, they would be favourites to do.
Yeah, they would be favourites, yes. So Bangladesh with 2 points, but that net run rate has taken a massive hit.
Yeah, Bangladesh, I think the problem for them is that their net run rate, because if it starts getting even Stevens, which it could well be. If
can we go to the other tab, checking out the Pakistan-Zimbabwe match, if we can, Anurag? Yeah.
Upper?
Yeah, Pakistan-Zimbabwe, just beside.
Yeah, there we go.
I want to see if there are any changes in the team. Just go down.
Wouldn't expect any, to be fair. Not for Pakistan. Rizwan Baba.
Oh no, extra seamer. So no Asif Ali.
Oh, so they brought in Wasim Junior.
Wasim Junior. So this is the one change that Pakistan have. That there is no Asif Ali and one extra seamer. So Mohammad Rizwan, Babar Azam, Shan Masood, Iftikhar Ahmed, Shadab Khan, Haider Ali, Mohammad Nawaz, that's your batting. Shaheen, Haris Rauf, Mohammad Wasim, Naseem Shah. Man, this is the kind of bowling that I would have gone with in the game against India.
Yeah, actually, now they suddenly look a lot more rounded also.
Because Wasim Jr. leaving him for the India game made no sense. Honestly, it made no sense. And
so now who are their bowling options? You have Nawaz,
you have Shaheen, Haris, Mohammad Wasim, Naseem.
This is like 5.
Shadab, 6.
Shadab, yeah.
That is your, and go down for this Zimbabwe thing. Regis Chakabwa is your wicketkeeper. Craig Irwin, Sean Williams, Sikandar Raza, Wesley Madavere, Milton Shumba, Brad Evans, Ryan Burl, Luke Yongway, Blessing Musrabani, and Richard Garwa. And remember, there were injury concerns about Richard Garwa because when that rain happened in Hobart, he slipped and he was clutching his knee.
I remember that. It was very irresponsible to actually send them out.
Yeah, very poor from the ICC to have allowed that match to happen. But luckily, better sense prevailed, and that is why. So I think there are no changes. Let's go down, Nora, whether there were any changes mentioned. We'll bat Chatara. Oh yes, Tendai Chatara is out, and he had a horrid game in that match against South Africa. So Tendai Chatara is out, and
Brad Evans is in.
Brad Evans. Yes, Brad Evans is in. And remember, Brad Evans played a very important part in one of the wins that Zimbabwe had against Australia. He and Ryan Burl. So that's how the situation is. Zimbabwe disadvantage under flood is Harare has no flood. In fact, Zimbabwe is the only test nation to not have floodlights. So they were planning to. But then unfortunately the financial situation with Zimbabwe cricket didn't allow them to. One fact is India need to sort out their concerns about making into semis, otherwise be ready again to be knocked down semis in final loss heartbreak. I've already made up my mind. I do not disagree with Lavrami on that. Yeah, there is the KL Rahul conundrum. Your middle order is sorted. Death bowling maybe, yet again you couldn't bowl out an opposition. That is one issue that is there. You couldn't bowl out an opposition you are primarily looking at. You're primarily looking at containing the opposition, which might not work on some occasions. Cristiano, Nabar, Rohit.
That's an interesting question for us to take. It's a bit offbeat, but sure.
Which calendar year performance you like most? Sachin 1998, ABD 2015, Kohli 2018, Rohit Sharma 2019. I am regular viewer of your show. Nice shows. Thank you, Cristiano.
I think I will.
Sachin 1998.
See, I was 5 years old at that point and I didn't watch cricket, so I wouldn't know that one. I'll go slightly different. I'll say Kohli 2016.
Yes. No, but there's no mention. Okay.
No, I'm picking that.
2016, yeah. 2016. The absolute zenith.
That was my favorite in terms of watching a batsman just go crazy.
Yep.
Although Rohit 2019 is also a good shout. I remember he was a very, very consistent bat at the top of the order at that point.
For me, Sachin Tendulkar, man, Desert Storm, 1998. The annus mirabilis, if you may have to look at it, for Tendulkar. Whatever he did, touched to gold. Against Australia, he was at his brutal best. 143 against Australia in Sharjah, to get them into the final, 134 in that final. He also made 141 against them in Dhaka in that Champions Trophy knockout. And everywhere, tests, ODIs, even if T20 was there, he would have dominated at that time. Such was Tendulkar. That was his peak. So Sachin, for me, it's Sachin 1998. And yes, Pelluri, you are right that, and here we have Pragyan finally free from all his TV commitments. You can come here, Pragyan, center. You are always at the center. You are never on the edges. So here it is, and Pragyan joins us, and we were discussing India's
anything and everything
dominant win, and just hold on to that question, okay, Anurag, if we can. Cristiano, Navor, Rohit, Hitman. Before we get on to discussing India, Netherlands, options for you, Pragyan. Which calendar year performance you like most as a fan? I mean, you've been a cricketer, but as a fan. Sachin Tendulkar 1998, ABD 2015, Kohli 2018, Rohit Sharma 2019.
If you had to pick.
If you want to pick one. For me, I picked 1998.
See, for me, I think 98 and Sachin Paji is a different era. We should not be comparing that. But to be very fair, you can talk about Rohit and Virat because they have played together.
Yep.
And we have seen them playing the same bowlers and in the same law.
Yeah.
So that would be
formats.
more realistic. And also
Yes.
ABD. Matter
Oh,
of
yes.
fact, you can talk about these three. But when you talk about Sachin Paji, he's played in a different era. The conditions were different. The challenges were different.
Bowlers were different.
Yeah, bowlers
totally.
were different. So it will be very unfair.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. If you talk about that, then obviously it is Virat Kohli, the impact that he's got.
I had picked his 2016. That time period when he was, I think he scored 973, was it?
In the IPL, 973, 75 plus in ODIs and tests,
And that was their-
116 in T20s.
That was also the year of the Mohali knock,
Oh, yes. Which is now second as per
his own this thing.
after that Pakistan epic.
His second best 80.
How much time did it take to recover after that Pakistan epic?
I think it was a great game. I think Pakistan lost to Virat Kohli. That's how I can put it. Because the situation that we were in, I think that was brilliant Virat Kohli. I was talking to you prior to this. As I said, Virat Kohli, we should not be only thinking about his numbers or his strike rates. The way he adds value. At that point in time, if you see, he raised himself.
Yes.
The strike
how?
rate.
And how?
He increased it.
Yep.
And the way he handled the pressure. And because Virat Kohli was there on the other end, we saw the calmness in Hardik Pandya.
Yep.
We saw that in R. Ashwin.
Yes.
Had Virat Kohli not been there, it actually
Panic
affects you
stations.
psychologically.
Yep.
So he adds a lot of value.
Yes.
Someone like him, someone like Rohit. So you have to see overall how they add it. You cannot just, when you talk about these greats, modern day greats, you have to see different things at different situations.
Yep.
You cannot just generalize their
Exactly.
impact.
Exactly. Well, Ashwin said it. It looked like the spirit of Chandramukhi had gone into Virat Kohli. He was batting like a man possessed. And those shots, man, unearthly. They were simply sublime. Coming back to this game, Pragyan, India versus Netherlands. There were some things that we had to look out for. KL Rahul's form, Rohit Sharma's form, maybe the death bowling to a certain extent. 56 run win, you are banking on a 30-40 run, but they give you a 56 run win. So India's net run rate is now 1.4, plus 1.4. Have all those concerns been addressed in this win, or do you think India has still some loopholes remaining?
To a certain extent, we have addressed it because when you're playing against Netherlands, you have different boxes to tick.
Yep.
Like you want your batters to get those runs,
Yes.
you want those net run rate to be up.
Yep.
So I think that is where, when you talk about batting, I think KL Rahul was a little unlucky when
Yes.
he missed out.
Yes.
But Rohit was brilliant. He got his 50. Then Surya Kumar Yadav and then Virat just
Yes.
continued himself.
Yep.
And then the other one is spinners doing well, because in Australia,
Yeah.
if you have to win against good teams, you want those middle overs
Yes.
to be taken care of.
Yep.
And how do you take care of that?
Exactly.
When your spinners pick wickets.
Yep.
And that is where your death over will also be compensated. When your spinners, they take wickets and don't let that partnership build, then in the death you will not see any set batsmen coming and going after your bowlers.
Yep.
So
And
that is also something which will add up.
yes.
This game, I think it has given more confidence to Akshar and Ashwin.
Yep.
That is a welcoming move. And I know our bowlers. When you see Arshdeep, the way he bowls, the
Yeah.
clarity that he has, and then Bhuvi, with
Two
the experience.
maidens today.
And Mohammad Shami, we know what he
Yep.
can do.
Absolutely.
I think everything is fine. It is just the game time that we needed.
Yep.
I think this game was perfect.
Perfect in that sense. Yeah, Akshar taking 2 wickets, Ashwin finally breaking his wicket drought after 4 matches.
4 matches, yeah.
Took 2 wickets. And economy, much more important was economy. Arshdeep, barring those 3 boundaries in the last over, bowled brilliantly, but it was Bhuvi. 2 maidens, 3 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 9.
Absolutely.
I think all hopes, if India have to make an impact in the power play, hinge on Bhuvi and to a certain extent Shami. Because Shami will be your death overs specialist heading into tougher games which you are going to see. Because the next 2 games, one against South Africa is a challenge, the other against Bangladesh is a potential banana skin, if you have to look at it. That's why this question, which is addressed to you, Pragyan, is there. Pragyan sir, would you like to make any changes to this winning 11 at Perth? And how do you view KL's form? Would you want to give Pant a chance?
It will be very harsh, I would say. I would have been little concerned about KL had he not been batting well.
Yes.
We saw in the warm-up games he was batting well. So we have to be little patient. And you get that little bit of cushion when you are winning the games. Once you lose, then it's a different challenge. But you've been winning, you've been doing well. So these are the small things you need to carry forward. And he's your vice captain.
Yep.
And he's delivered. He's got that experience. Remember, there was a talk about Virat Kohli, his form.
Yep.
Look what he's done.
Yeah.
So Rohit Sharma is a captain who believes that if he's given you chances, he will back you.
Yep.
He'll not let lot of changes. So I'm very sure Rahul will have a good run, unless otherwise, which I don't want to talk about. But he's a class act. He will perform.
He will perform, and hopefully his good record against South Africa comes through, and the Perth wicket, which has pace and bounce, potentially suits his game.
Maybe in Perth, maybe we'll see one spinner playing, because that is a ground where we saw how Australia was also struggling with the pace.
Yes.
They are the home side, and we saw those sharp bouncers and those ball, the way it was carrying. They also had a little bit of trouble.
Correct.
So I am very sure Rohit and the think tank will be slightly inclined towards having one more fast bowler.
One more fast bowler,
we never know, but it looks like that.
Now, Pragyan, I've often wanted to ask this to you. Heading into this T20 World Cup, there was always talk that our batting is very unidimensional. There's only right-handers. You should have a left-hander. But do you think this right-hand, left-hand combination, are we making too much fuss about it? Is it a necessary, or do you think unidimensional also works, looking at the situation?
See, when you have right and left combination, it really puts a lot of pressure on the bowler, because the line changes.
Yes.
The angles also changes, and it is very difficult for a bowler, because if both left-handers are batting or both right-handers are batting, then the bowler knows exactly what he needs to do. Every ball, if you're changing your line and length, it becomes very tough for the bowler. So that way it works. But see, again, if you look at Indian batting, it's it has got a lot of experience, and every time we speak about this Indian team, we were talking about Indians bowling attack, not the batting, because the batting is well settled. And when you talk about the bowling, I think it is coming of ages, because we have added Mohammad Shami in the team, and credit to him, he's looked fantastic both in the warm-up game. I mean, that 1 over that he got, plus the game against Pakistan, set it up brilliantly. Although Arshdeep got the wicket, so it was pressure created by Shami and Bhuvi. And thirdly, in this match also bowled with hostility, I will just say. Arshdeep Singh, I mean, we've seen his exploits. 2 wickets he took again in the death overs. In your time that you've seen, what is it about Arshdeep that makes him such a potent bowler in the death? Is it because he's got a clarity of mind, or he's not ruffled by pressure? See, whenever you're going to play for your country, especially India, which we have got such a huge population, from that, when you're playing for the country, you have the skills.
Yes.
But how you become different? Why is Virat Kohli different? Why is Rohit Sharma different? Why they have performed so many years? Because they have that clarity. They know exactly what they need to do and how to fox a bowler or fox a batsman. So Arshdeep, when you look at him, the way he attacks the batsman, how he outsmarts the batsman, that is what I really enjoy. Today, if you would have seen, he bowled those over pitch deliveries,
Yes.
bowled those Yorkers, and suddenly he bowled a bouncer.
Yep.
So he always surprises the batsman, and that comes only with experience. But this guy, he's just played few games, and he shows that he's got that maturity.
Right.
Indeed, and I mean, he got Rizwan out with a bouncer. I mean, in that game at MCG, I mean, we all thought he would get him with the full swinging bowling or the Yorkers, but
no,
bouncers, he's doing it and employing it very, very smartly in Australia, if you look at it. And looking at Perth, okay, I will do a special ground realities show tomorrow or day after, because I've been doing it for Melbourne, I've been doing it for Sydney. For Perth, I will do it tomorrow because I want to know what are the dynamics after this match ends. Whether the team batting first gets the advantage or the team batting second gets the advantage. But do you think India is like worried now, like we don't care, batting second or batting first, because in 2 games they have done both. They have chased and they have defended also. Do you think they're worried, oh, what if we lose the toss if we are forced to bat second or bat first? Are they worried about it now?
No, I wouldn't say worried, but definitely they'll be thinking and preparing themselves, because see, when things go your way, you know how
Yep.
to handle it. But when things don't go your way, what you need to do.
Yes.
That is what I think Indian team must be thinking about, but I don't think they'll be worried. They're in a good space.
Yep.
They have been doing what they wanted to, and they had a good start. So I'm really happy, and I know that this bunch of cricketers are confident. That whatever happens, if it is in their control or not, they will manage.
Yep. So final thing that I want to ask from you, Pragyan, is that so far, we have seen that heading into this World Cup, left arm pace, oh, we are going to get troubled by it. On the surface, honestly, in my opinion, I think they have not been troubled by left arm pace. Do you think that India has overcome that so-called bogey that, oh, if left arm pace is thrown at us, we have no problems? Do you think, so far in the 2 games, I think they have not been troubled? What is your assumption on
Yeah,
it?
if you go by the game, yes, they have not been troubled. But if you go by the form what Shah Afridi had then, and
Yes.
the way he is doing it now, because he's coming after a long gap.
4 months, yes.
He's not been bowling the way he was bowling then.
In fact, as you say that, he's getting hit by Zimbabwe. So
10 runs in the
but you have
first
to
over.
look
Yeah.
at when you are analyzing a bowler or a batsman, you have to understand, is he at his peak or is he trying to get into his form? So if
Yes.
you look at Shah Afridi, how much ever bowling is done over like say 1 or 2 weeks, you know, that gap really puts pressure on you.
Absolutely.
We have seen the greatest of the players
Yes.
go through that phase. We are not playing against New Zealand, but we
Trent
have seen
bowled.
Trent bowled.
Yeah.
So once the bowler gets the ball in, then you have to see
Yes.
what happens. But when you talk about now in this situation, I think we have handled the left arm seamers well.
so
Yeah,
far, at least,
yeah, because in against South Africa, when you go into Perth, you are potentially having to deal with 2 left armers. One, either a Wayne Parnell, if somebody is not fit, then Marco
Marco
Jansen probably. So those 2 on that particular wicket could be a handful. So South Africa's bowling, I think, is it fair to say, Pragyan, will be facing the toughest bowling unit in this T20 World Cup when we face up against South Africa? Because Rabada, Parnell, Nortje, Maharaj, Shamsi.
I think Pakistan bowling attack was also equally good. They had some quick fast bowlers. Everybody that we faced were almost touching 140, 145.
Right.
So I think we've got a sense of it. But yes, South Africa bowling attack is really good when you talk about their pace battery and spinners. I wouldn't say spinners, I would say spinner. Maharaj
yeah.
is good, but Shamsi is someone who you can put pressure back on him. We've seen that. And also when you talk about South Africa, they also will have something in back of their mind that their main team played against our young team and we beat them.
Yep.
That also they will think about, because here we have Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, we've got Mohammad Shami, we've got Hardik Pandya.
Yes.
We've got a side here.
The A side is here, yeah.
I know that was in India, in subcontinent, but this is in Perth. This is a different tournament. But when you enter a World Cup, something will be telling you back of the mind that yes, they have beaten us. Their young side has beaten us. We should not be taking this team lightly.
And if you have to actually look at it, the 9 encounters that I've said, this is the first time they'll actually be bowling to Rohit and Virat.
Correct.
When you have to look at it, because they didn't play the June series, they didn't play the October series. So this is the first time Rohit, Virat, Surya I think played.
No, but they were playing the T20Is. I think they missed the ODIs.
Yes, I think June they missed.
June
they were
missed,
there
but
for
this
the T20.
Yeah,
Yes.
This
So
they
for the
played.
fourth time, let's see, they tackled them well in India, but in Perth, let's hope that on October 30th that they can do it. India currently sit on top with 4 points with plus 1.425 net run rate, but South Africa 3 points plus 5.2. Pakistan will be hoping that they can beat Zimbabwe. After all, history suggests 17 T20Is, 16 have been won by Pakistan. But that one loss came when they bundled out for 99 in chase of 120. So that is how the situation is.
But I keep the mathematics very simple. Like the way India is going, if India beats South Africa, I don't think there will be any hurdle.
Then there's no hurdle.
So that is what India should be looking at. See, when do you talk about some other team not beating another team?
Yeah.
When you're not sure about yourself.
When you're dependent on other results.
Yes.
So that is the last thing that you want to be in.
Yep.
That situation.
Yes.
So when you talk about India, they're in a good space.
Very
They've
good
beaten
space, yeah.
Pakistan. They made a statement. Now they've beaten Netherlands with a good margin. And the net run rate is better now.
Better now, yes.
And the only thing that India should be thinking is, now we have to beat South Africa.
Yep.
If this hurdle they cross, then almost their 1 foot will be in semi-final.
Absolutely. And South Africa, let us not forget, have not beaten India in a T20 World Cup since 2009. That was the last time, I think. I mean, that World Cup was very strange. India started off pretty strongly, but then towards the end, close margins. You lost all games by, I think, in the Super 8s by close margins.
Right.
West Indies at Lords, you lost by, I think, with just 2-3 balls to spare. You lost by 3 runs to England. You lost by 12 runs to South Africa. So, very strange kind of a World Cup it was. So, let's hope that we see a cracker. Tomorrow, there is a mega game in Group 1, England versus Australia, and the loser of that, it becomes very difficult for them, because side by side there will be another game going on, Ireland versus Afghanistan.
Correct.
And it's the Irish who have thrown Group 1 totally wide open, and one more win tomorrow by the Irish, who knows, major surprise loading.
This World Cup has been very different. We've seen a lot of major disappointments. We saw Sri Lanka
losing to Namibia.
And then West Indies, 2-time World Cup champions, not even qualified.
How disappointed were you when that happened?
To be very frank, if we have to keep everything at the right place, I was not disappointed. If you have been following West Indies cricket over a couple of years, you would have seen that they have not been delivering the way they had delivered earlier. Individually, they have been brilliant because they have been traveling across the world and playing a lot of leagues, franchisee cricket. But when you talk about as a team, they have not delivered. And I have been listening to one of the senior team members saying that, when did the last time West Indian played as a team, the bilateral series or anything, very rarely they play, and that is something which they need to do. And if you go deeper, the domestic structure has also gone down drastically. There's no good structure, hardly any cricket being played there.
Barring the CPL.
Yeah, exactly. And CPL standard is also very normal. To be very frank, if you have been watching those games.
Yes.
So, and see, T20 cricket is brilliant, it attracts people, but if you have to be strong, if you want your foundation to be good, you have to play domestic cricket, you have to play red ball cricket, because that is where you get your stability.
Correct.
And that is the reason why, if you see all the teams that have been doing well over the years, you look at England, their domestic structure, you look at Australia, their domestic structure, you look at New Zealand, their domestic structure, you look at India. Under 19 players are traveling abroad, they're getting the experience of playing in Sena countries. India A team is traveling now. They're playing a lot of A tours. So these things, really help you. You're not alien to those conditions.
Yes.
If you go 20 years, 25 years back, our Indian team going to New Zealand or Australia, it would take you 15-20 days to at least get acclimatized to the
Yes.
conditions. But now this guy is coming into the Indian team, they know what New Zealand offers,
Yes.
what Australia offers, what South Africa offers.
Correct.
So these things are very important.
Correct. And Pakistan have not made a good start against Zimbabwe. Oh, right flush on the chin. Wesley Madavere, I hope he's okay. Concussion test coming up soon. So that is about it. We are going to see the triple header reach its conclusion today.
Later today, yeah.
Yeah, with Zimbabwe versus Pakistan at the Perth Stadium. Zimbabwe have chosen to bat and they have reached a good score already. 26 in 2.3. Big game for Pakistan. They have to win this. If they lose, their chances take a massive hit.
Correct.
And tomorrow will be Afghanistan versus Ireland and Australia
Australia.
versus England. 29th also New Zealand, Sri Lanka. That
Also,
will be two games which will decide Group 1 in a very emphatic way. But on 30th, another triple header. But our main focus will be India
South
versus
Africa.
South Africa at the Perth Stadium. So thank you, Pragyan, so much for your time. We will be seeing you
Hopefully, we'll be seeing you on the show more.
more often.
Sure.
Adds a lot, definitely.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for watching this. We'll be back with more updates from sports today. Press the like, comment and share button. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter
Don't
and
forget to
Instagram.
subscribe.
Yep.
Very important.
Show us some love. Indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.